Pike County Fiscal Court called to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call. The members, please.
Judge Rutherford.
Present.
Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Johnson.
Here.
Magistrate Murphy.
Here.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Here.
Magistrate Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum. We'll have Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Murphy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kelman Dotson, I would like for you to do the prayer today, please. Judge Hayes is in. He's gone up to Cleveland Clinic for some tests today. So, Magistrate Dotson.
Let's bow our heads, please. Our most gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you again today, asking for your guidance and your knowledge to give us the ability, Father, to make the decisions that will be helpful to our community and to our county. Father, we just thank you so much for the many blessings that you give us each day. And sometimes we forget to say thank you, but we love you, Lord, and we just ask that you be with our employees and be with John Doug today as he goes for some evaluations, and be with their families, Lord, and just bless us through this day. And we pray and ask all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th. I've reviewed the minutes. Jeannie has. You have them in your packet. Do I have a motion? Motion, Magistrate Murphy. Second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson. Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Under public comments, we only had one signed in, and he signed in for something else on the agenda, so we don't have any public comments. We have one thing we want to do today, and Jimmy Dale Anderson, I would have you come around, please, to the microphone. And Jimmy Dale Anderson, would you come around to the microphone? You got a microphone in front of you. Just sit right there, and you can listen. You know, the Lord gave us a beautiful area, and he gave us a lot of minerals, coal, natural gas, but he gave us something else. He gave us beauty in our mountains and in our streams. General James Bickford, raised at Hayer, Kentucky, and Harlan, Kentucky. We lost General Bickford, and Congressman Rogers did the eulogy at General Bickford's funeral. Beautiful eulogy. But the concept of a clean mountains and clean streams in eastern Kentucky was James Bickford and Hal Rogers' joint effort. He was appointed, General Bickford was appointed in 1995, the first appointee of the Paul Patton first administration. And General Bickford, the Pride program was put in place by General James Bickford and Hal Rogers. And we all know what the Pride has done for the beauty of eastern Kentucky, of our streams and our mountains. This is going to be an annual award. Brigadier General James E. Bickford Environmental Award for Pike County. And I'm going to pass this over, Jeannie, to the county attorney if he would read this proclamation for us this morning in a minute. But we're here. The Lord gave us something else. He gave us a fellow named Jimmy Dale Anderson, who became dedicated to this, to making Pike County a better place for all of us to live in, to enhance tourism, and we know that our quality of life is better because the Lord made Jimmy Dale Anderson available to us.
Sanders, Judge. Jimmy Dale Sanders.
Jimmy Dale Sanders, I'm sorry, I know Jimmy Dale like my brother, but Jimmy Dale Sanders, we know what he's meant to this county and to all of us. He has been very active. He is a great organizer. He has a great working relationship with my office and each magistrate's office, and he has become involved with Charles Carlton and others in the tri-state cleanup of our streams. The Knox Creek cleanup was just held recently, and Jimmy Dale was a part of that. I can remember going over to Pounding Mill where Magistrate Dotson and they hauled tons and tons of garbage. The landfills that has been closed in this county, illegal dumps. He was involved in that with Mike Lyons and the Solid Waste Department. So today, the first thing I want to do is I want the county attorney to read a proclamation for Mr. Sanders and Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, Judge. This is a proclamation recognizing Jimmy Dale Sanders by the Pike County Fiscal Court. Whereas today we pay tribute to a dedicated public servant and a great Pike Countyan to whom we owe our deepest gratitude for his many contributions to Pike County. And whereas Jimmy Dale Sanders is a man with a reputation as a strong and effective leader, known for his compassion and commitment to helping others, and his tireless hard work and effort to protect and enhance the natural beauty of Pike County. And whereas it is through his service to Pike County as Pride Coordinator, we have all had the fortune of getting to know Mr. Sanders, and we all realize the daunting task he takes on as he beautifies Pike County. And whereas, thanks to the efforts of Mr. Sanders and those who work with him, hundreds of people of all ages are involved in improving our home county, and that is a testament to Mr. Sanders' leadership and dedication. And whereas, through the partnerships made and maintained by Mr. Sanders, we have made significant strides in cleaning up Pike County's rivers, streams, and hollers, addressing sewage and trash problems, and educating children about the importance of a clean environment. And whereas there is no doubt the success of the Pride program under Mr. Sanders' leadership enhances tourism possibilities and improves our economy as well, now therefore it be resolved that we, the Pike County Fiscal Court, hereby proclaims Jimmy Dale Sanders as the General James E. Bickford Environmental Partner for 2012. Furthermore, we do hereby ask and encourage each resident to be a champion Pride and in its initiatives throughout Pike County.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. I have a letter from Hal Rogers, our congressman, to Jimmy Dale, and I will read it. As your congressman and friend, I want to congratulate you on your well-deserved award for your dedication and tireless efforts to clean up Pike County. The late General James Bickford and I co-founded Pride together, and he would be proud to have someone as passionate as you to win an award bearing his name. You raised the bar high for the rest of the counties in southern and eastern Kentucky by organizing award-winning cleanup events in Pike County. The effects of your efforts will impact Pike County for generations to come. You are an inspiration to us all, and I'm proud to serve you as your congressman. Keep up the good work. Sincerely, Harold Rogers, Member of Congress. He also sent along a signed picture, Jimmy Dale, for you. With you and your Pride group, I see Marie Childers and Mrs. Brown and Mr. Hensley with you. He sent that, and it's signed for you from your congressman. But it's an honor for me on behalf of the court. And Jimmy Dale, I would ask you to come around, and Brandon, you can tell us where to stand and get a picture of presenting him with the first award. After this, it will become an annual award. We got TV here, so we have to do it so that Pike TV can do it. Well, let's do it and move on with the other things on the agenda. If the magistrate, Jimmy Dale, if you come up here, and if the magistrate would stand up here and get a picture with you, we'll make the presentation and go on with what's on the court's agenda.
Sit up front here. We're going to do it.
Brandon, would you get us lined up, please?
Congratulations, Jimmy Dale.
This is yours. You hold that right there. Are you ready? Good. Jim Dale, congratulations.
When do we eat?
Very deserved. Everybody said, when do we eat?
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you. I thank the volunteers of Pike County. They're the ones that make it happen. It's okay. No, I talked too long.
Jimmy Dale said he accepted this on behalf of all the volunteers who have helped clean up Pike County. Next, we have just a update, and we have things that happened since the last court meeting. We had the Heritage Hallway cutting. We've been approximately 3 years working with the University of Kentucky. We worked with the former president, Dr. Todd, and the Office of Anthropology at the University of Kentucky, to bring back to Pike County part of 70,000 artifacts that was taken from a dig before the construction of Fish Trap Reservoir. We was turned down. Our hallway, the Heritage Hallway, a national award-winning hallway, but we was unable to get this display, and we had to acquiesce to their specifications before we could get it. But we have put security in the hallway. We beefed up the security with the cameras, and we fixed the locks on the cabinets. So we wanted to make this secure because it's invaluable. It's part of the history of this county. So we finally worked with Nancy O'Malley, Assistant Director of the Webb Museum of Anthropology at the University of Kentucky, and we sent Penny Burke down for training, and we prepared the display. We used our wood shop to build what you see on the screen up here for the display. And then the ribbon cutting was held, and Mr. Johnson, who is curator of the Big Sandy Heritage Museum, and others. Bob Shurtleff is in that picture. Bob has done a lot of digs in this county and has it on display over in the Heritage Museum. So we're glad to offer that to the people of this county. And I ask all of you who are present in the courtroom to go by and view that today. And the people of Pike County needs to come by and see this. It's something to see what back in the times that Native American artifacts that was uncovered in these archaeological dig at the Fish Trap Reservoir area in Pike County. The next thing that we have was the ribbon cutting again, and that was at a ceremony at Phelps area at the Phillips Cemetery. And of course, you'll notice on the screen that, and they had a large crowd out over there. The Hatfield and McCoy is something that, and I want to commend people who sat in the seat that I'm in, and where these magistrates are, years ago. Our predecessors took action. I want to commend the city of Pikeville for what they've done on the Hatfield and McCoys. What Dr. Hamley did, what that commission did, what other mayors and the commission members did, the Deal Cemetery, and all the things that's done to enhance us. We had a jump start after the national showing of the Hatfield and McCoy in America. And we know that we've got more than 1 million hits on our tourism sites, Pike County Tourism, and the city tourism. Let me add, this is a joint marketing effort between the two, but we was glad, and Hillman Dotson led the march to get that cemetery, and we held the ribbon cutting, and that's gone. Then the UK Extension Board, the Pike County Arts Program, Artist Collaboration. You notice that from the public hearing that was held by the Chamber and the forum that was held, and with the city, again, with everybody involved, we are going to start a Hatfield and McCoy play. We are hopeful that we can work with and we will work with the city of Pikeville they are getting a new theater. We certainly want this play to be in the new theater, and we would like their consideration to do that. We have a committee together, and Eugene Gibbs, I don't know where Eugene's present today, and Hillman Dotson and others will be looking for a site on Blackberry, where most of the action took place on the Hatfield and McCoy, for an amphitheater, which would mean that the Collaborative Theater would be holding these plays at their facility at Elkhorn City in hot weather in the summertime, and then, of course, move to Pikeville, if available, at their theater, and then on to the amphitheater in the fall in Blackberry, in that area of the county. So we're looking forward to this taking place, along with everything else the city and the county is doing. I have a letter being prepared to the mayor of Pikeville asking that the new theater be made available, and that when they do the contracts that they make sure that they are not prohibited from using that facility. The next thing that we've had since the last meeting was the Elk Creek Road Project's award ceremony. And you will see on your screen, which is to my left, will be to your right, would be Senator Puckett and Delegate Moorfield from Virginia. On a national award, you'll see Hillman Dotson, and you'll see the people from Grundy and the officials from the court of Grundy, from their governing body in Grundy, the Board of Supervisors. This was an award. Again, Hillman Dotson was involved heavily in this and brought it to the court's attention along with Terry Hall. I think when you get to another picture on here, you'll see that Terry Hall is in that picture, and then it's gone on so long because during when we was trying to get this settled, and the county attorney's office has done their due diligence and done the work. Mr. Terry Hall is sitting next to Senator Philip Puckett from Virginia. He was the supervisor, and he was the one, and him and Hillman Dotson brought it to this court's attention. That was a project approved by the legislature of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they passed an act. The governor signed it to spend money in the Commonwealth of Kentucky to get 88 families out of a holler with only access into Kentucky. So that happened back when the part of Virginia was severed, and Kentucky became a state. They did a bad job drawing the borders. So now that we're in the process of letting Virginia let a contract in Kentucky, we are the county attorney's office here, and Mr. Mosey, the county attorney in Buchanan County, are in the process of closing that out, and a contract will be let. And those people who've been isolated, and they have to go to school in Virginia, but they only could get out. In the early 1900s, a tunnel was built when the railroad came into that section, and only thing they could get through it was sleds, wagons with horses and mules pulling them. Then the advent of the manufacture of automobiles and pickups was all could get in. 300 feet from that is in Kentucky, then you have the Virginia line. So they have not been able to have access because water runs through that, it's blocked, and in the wintertime it builds up into ice, and I've seen pictures where they're taking and breaking the ice up to try to get out. So the absenteeism in the schools in Virginia and those students has been down. So this is God sent to, to those people who have been isolated. Then we was in Pittsburgh, Pat and I was, and we got another award, and that was from the Scholar House. That was for the concept of the Scholar House. This is a picture, I think, of the Scholar House in Louisville. This is in presentation to some members of the past board and the members of the present board at up to the college. This is a program where a single parent can get a college education at no cost. It is a project that the city and the county has worked on for a number of years. We have made this possible. The city of Pikeville, it has been very cooperative, and with this was brought to our president of Pikeville College, the former Governor Paul E. Patton, from James Ramsey, the president of University of Louisville, and he brought to Governor Patton this concept of giving these people who had no idea and won't have 48 units will be provided on property that the city commission, and I see some of those people present here today, have taken action to make available for this type of facility. Mr. Brown, who is the developer, all the money is in place, and this is a gold project, and this will be something that we can be proud of. It is the first project like this in America in a rural county. So it again, University of Pikeville, working with the city, working with the county, working with both housing authorities, and that's the reason that this award was granted to this board. So those things have transpired since the last meeting. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on it, and we're going to ask to do the treasurer's business first, since I have to leave when this meeting's over with, and the treasurer needs to get hers behind her. So believe it or not, so I can sign the checks before I leave town so that we can pay and comply with the statute. Madam Treasurer.
Thank you, Judge. Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health, and life insurance.
Have a motion, have a second. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of transfers and interfund transfers for May 15th, June 5th, and June 25th, 2012.
Have a motion. I have a motion. Magistrate Johnson, have a second. Magistrate Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the Treasurer's May and June 2012 financial statements and the financial statement for the quarter ending June 30th, 2012.
Have a motion. Motion, Magistrate Johnson. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Authorize a check to East Kentucky Broadcasting for regional recycling grant advertising for Pike County in the amount of $12,000. This will be reimbursed once we pay for it.
Have a motion from Magistrate Anderson. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Yes. Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Authorize a check to General Pet Supply for shipping and handling invoices for the animal shelter for animal food in the amount of $1,400. This is for 2 invoices in May and 4 in June to get caught up.
Motion. Say 12.
Have a motion, have a second. Have a second,
Yeah.
Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson. Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Ye-
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
The jail needs to order some radios, and we have to send the check before they'll finish processing the order. Authorize a check to myradiomall.com for radios for the jail in the amount of $1,545.38.
Have a motion. Have a motion, have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Authorize registration and lodging for Lori Goff to attend the American Humane Association Euthanasia by Injection Workshop and Managing Compassion Stress in Lexington, Kentucky, August 21st through the 23rd, 2012. The registration fee for both classes is $360.
Have a motion.
Motion.
Have a motion, Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
I have no further business, Judge.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. We need to acknowledge receipt of the Pike County Airport budget for 2012 and 2013. Do I have a motion? Motion, Magistrate Murphy, second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Need to acknowledge the receipt of the Pike County Board of Health for 2012 and 2013 budget. Have a motion, please. Motion, Magistrate Johnson, second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. We need to adopt a resolution authorizing the county judge executive to sign an application to execute all documents for the Homeland Security a grant for the Sheriff's Office.
Motion.
I have a motion by Magistrate Anderson. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson. Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Judge, we need to pass the next.
We'll
two.
pass
There
the
be-
next one on till they get back with the resolution prepared in regard to the priority order complying with House Bill 265 of co-severance tax line item projects. Next, we have discussion of a budget adjustment
Judge, I think we need to pass that till Rhonda and John Doe.
till the treasurer and the finance director is present. We will pass that till they get back. Mr. County Attorney, we have anything else?
No, Judge.
We need to move down to awarding of bids. Mr. Stacy.
Judge, I have 2 bids to present to the court. The first bid is bid number 34 to replace the phone system in Pike County Courthouse. We received 2 bids. The first bid from Eastern Telephone of Pikeville for $61,977. They also pointed out potential cost savings of $2,378.20 a month. The second bid was from Lightyear Network Solutions of Pikeville. Bid price of $56,521, and they pointed out potential savings of $2,733 a month. After evaluating the bid, currently in the budget, there is no money to pay for a new phone system, so if the court decides they want to buy a new system, they would have to either take out a lease or enter a rental agreement. So on that, my recommendation would be to reject both bids. Both companies did point out some potential cost savings that the court could implement, and then once those savings are realized, rebid it in the future. The second bid is a summit bid for South Williamson flood wall, sandbag barn, and equipment. We received no bids, but there's a grant that we need to actually have a formal bid received on, so I would request permission to rebid that and present it at the next court meeting.
Need a motion to approve the
Judge,
recommendations.
on the first motion, I'd like to say that, I'd like to make a motion that we pass over the telephones until money becomes available, and then, take it up at a later
Be
time.
fine. That'll be fine. On the second one, your
Permission to
recommendation
rebid.
again, please.
Permission to rebid and present it at the next court meeting.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Magistrate Dodson. And we have a second? Second, Magistrate Harris. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Just say, clerk.
We probably need to do a vote on Mr. Dodson's first motion before we vote on the second motion.
The county attorney recommends we split that and do separate votes. So we'll take it on the first one first. We have a motion by Dodson, second by Harris, and have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes, and we do need to proceed on the flood wall because we're under deadline on that, as Jimmy Kaiser can tell you. We've worked and worked and worked. And Jimmy, thank you, and Magistrate Hart, thank you for what input you've had. We finally got a location over there to build the sand house, so we'd have it. So, need a motion?
Need a motion to
Motion
rebid
by
it.
Magistrate Anderson, and have a second by Magistrate Murphy, and have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Now we have the magistrate's road work. Magistrate Anderson.
I'll make a motion, we approve the road work.
Motion, Magistrate Anderson, have a second. Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Magistrate comments. Magistrate Anderson.
Judge, I don't have any comments.
Magistrate Johnson.
Judge, I haven't got much to do, but we've been having a lot of rain. I got a few hollers washed out of it. Nothing great, but it's going to take a week or two to get them straightened out. And so I didn't get nothing like Chris and Hammond got over. I think he got it pretty good, didn't you, over in their district?
Mr. Road Commissioner, would you give us just a brief update and pull your mic over there in regard to the low water flooding we had in the county?
Well, everybody knows for the last week we've had some downpours in different areas. Leo got it, Kenneth got it up Harris Creek, Jimmy's Creek, Biggs Branch. Hillman got hit pretty hard in Pond Creek, Blackberry. We've had numerous things. I'm just glad, well, yesterday everybody in the county got it, but last week it hit about 3 inches of rain in 30 minutes in some places. Yesterday everybody got it, had a lot of washouts, drains stopped up. Our drains are capable of handling the water if it wasn't for the public throwing all the brush and trash and tires and stuff like that blocks the drains. And then we have to wait till the water recedes to get down because we can't see what's there and we don't want to tear our drains out. So, it's hectic on my men, and the magistrates know this.
The USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, NRCS, has been in the county evaluating the damage. They've been with our road foreman in these different districts. They've made their investigation, and they will report back, and hopefully we will get a declaration. Now, that declaration don't have to come from myself, the governor, and the president. They do their own declaration. So Jeannie's has been working with them this past week. They've had 2 meetings last week, and hopefully we'll be getting some news for the magistrates and for the people out in these particular areas.
Judge, I guess most people knows it, probably read in the paper. I lost a nephew last Thursday in a truck wreck, and it was a bad accident, and so the funeral's going to start tonight at the Jones Funeral Home, and they're going to bury him Thursday. And it's going to be a closed funeral because he got messed up pretty bad, and I want everybody to pray for him.
This is an important meeting, and Magistrate Johnson, we appreciate you coming. I know how close that your family is. And I may say that this is a coal truck wreck. And let's have a moment of silence for the young fellow. I think it was his name Barry, B-A-R-R-Y, Barry Johnson. And understand a fine young man, a hard worker that lost his life in that accident. Let's have a moment of silence for him, please. Thank you, and have the Johnson family in your prayers, please. Magistrate Murphy.
Yes, Judge. I believe tomorrow will be 2 weeks ago. I had about 8 areas got flooded pretty bad, and NCRS has been in, and I'm just hoping they come back with a little help of us on it.
Sounds good. We've contacted our congressman's office, and we've done everything we could, and I think their decision process will be very quick. Magistrate Robinson.
I got a petition here to adopt the road into the road system.
Pass it over, Madam Clerk. Make it a part of the record, please. Magistrate Dodson.
Judge, I'm just tickled to death to be here today and see this tremendous crowd we've got with us. You know, this is probably one of the biggest crowd we've had since we had the Expo Center. So it brings back memories. You know, we had wall-to-wall people when we were dealing with the Expo. And I'm just glad to see everybody out here today to listen and express their opinions on the reason they're here. And
problem is we had nobody to sign in to talk. We had one, Jarrett Arnett, only one. So,
but I just want to welcome to the.
Maybe I don't know what I thought they would be, but that's up to the individual themselves.
Yeah,
Mr. Dotson, go right ahead.
But you know, I think it's good to see the city council here today, and hopefully they'll come back and we can sit down and talk as we. Occur different things that's happening in the county and the city. You know, I think it would be good if we could just have a good relationship to where we could work together and everybody could see the benefits from our work. I just want to welcome y'all here today. And Judge, we, like the other master said, we've had several floods, a lot of washout roads, but you know the Lord won't put no more on us than we can stand. And that's what I tell people when they call. We'll get to them as soon as we can, and hopefully, you know, that we can take care of them before the day is over. But I always say that what we can't get today, we'll try to get tomorrow. And we've got a little bit of discussion on Mike's branch. And Frank, are we going to be able to get any help? I know you and the road foreman had made arrangements to go in and do some work, but I guess it's kind of on hold until we hear from
Frank, I think Jeannie can give us some information on that. Jeannie, the NRCS along with the road commissioner. Jeannie, would you tell us what they have?
Some members of the NRCS were here last week and traveled with Frank Hatcher and looked at locations, and that was one of them. And he's been working on it. They're trying to get the money allocated as we speak. And since I talked to him again yesterday, Troy Williams, he's going to be back at least mid next week to reevaluate and look at what we had going on yesterday. And they're just trying to get the money approved. But Mike's branch is the #1 project.
Thank you, Jenny. I just want to let the people know I see some residents from Mike's branch here today that we hadn't forgot about them, and I think Frank had made arrangements until this last little deal we had, and then it's kind of slowed us down. But we had several washouts, and we had to go into Virginia and work a little bit the other night to get into Kentucky. We got stranded over in my district over there in the Pawpaw area, and the road crew. I just wanted to commend them on what a good job they do, and you know, sometimes we forget to tell them how much we appreciate them, and I just like to say to the court that we've got a tremendous road crew and solid waste crew, and a tremendous staff altogether. You know, I think we're to be proud of our employees. And Judge, our swimming pools, school started back, and I just want to see, Jeannie, have we made arrangements for the people to take care of them during the school days and keep them up and going?
Okay, Sunday was the last day for them to be open. We're gathering the keys, and Jameis, I've already had a conversation with him. We'll begin to do whatever we need to before winter comes. And we may need to look at, I think yours is in good shape, but the other two we may want to look at. We might need to do some repairs, but we'll have to evaluate that too. But they have been closed, and we are getting the keys, and had a good year, I think, a good summer.
So they're officially closed. I didn't know if they were going to go on into the
Officially
holiday to close or when, you know.
Most of our lifeguards are students, high school students, a lot of them were, so they're back to school this week. So they are, Sunday was their last day open.
Mr. Ramey, make sure on your calendar, closing of the swimming pools and winterizing them and get them ready for next year. And we can announce, as Magistrate Dotson and others have said, we have money in the budget for swimming pools to be open the next season. Mr. Dotson.
Judge, I just want to say thank you to you and your staff for making the Frank Phillips Cemetery opening possible. With the work of the court and our employees, we were able to make a success. I know I'm proud of it, and I know the tourism, Pike County Tourism, Tony Tackett, he seemed to me like he was well pleased with it, and I just think that we're doing a whole lot of things out in the county to make life better for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Magistrate Harris.
Thank you, Judge. I want to first say I got to go to the Frank Phillips Cemetery rededication, I guess, and I was real impressed with all the work that had been done there. It's a great, I think, going to be a good asset for the Hatfield-McCoy tourism, and just wanted to congratulate you all on doing a good job there at Phelps. Along those lines, one thing I'd like to ask help from the court with is we have, with the increased tourism that we've seen from the Hatfield-McCoy miniseries, we have had an influx of people coming wanting to see these feud sites, and a tremendous amount of people. And I've seen a lot of times where they're parked on the side of the road looking at a map, trying to figure out where it is that they need to go. And I think we as a county need to do a little better job of giving these people some direction, and I think we can do that through maybe the Kentucky Department of Tourism. Those brown, I don't know if they're historical sites or tourism sites or public attraction sites, but they're brown signs that give visitors and the public some direction on where to go to see these sites. And I'd like to, if we could, set up a meeting with somebody from maybe the Kentucky Department of Transportation or the Kentucky Tourism Commission to see what we can do about getting some better signage over in the Pond Creek and Blackberry Creek areas to show where these feud sites are. I think the city of Pikeville has done a good job, and they've got their sites marked well. But out in the county, they're probably not quite as well, not as good a direction, I guess you could say. And I'd like to see if we could get a meeting set up with somebody from the Transportation Cabinet.
Okay, Jeannie, we meet every month with the head of the local District 12, a district engineer. Would you invite the magistrates that want to attend the next meeting? That's on our calendar. And I think that signage is already on the agenda. So, Jeannie, and for Magistrate Dotson, we got an email that the signs had been up. Directive signs, not the brown signs, but the green ones. They're brown. Well, the brown signs are up for the Phillips Cemetery. Magistrate Dotson, Magistrate Harris, they put those up. They didn't get them up till 2 days after we had the opening, but they are now up. So that will help. And signage is something that we certainly, and I commend the city and for what they've done in regard to signage. I think it's a great boost for this county, and as we've said, we work together on on what's good for Pikeville, in my opinion, is good for Pike County, and what's good for Pike County is good for Pikeville.
Judge, talking to Sandy Runyon, she said there was money available for the signages in their department down there. If we will ask Chris for some help, she said there were money available for signages.
The meeting with Murray Holbrook is at 11 o'clock on the 13th, if you put it on your calendar.
Hey, Judge, I'd like to add to what Magistrate Harris said. The last time I spoke with Jay at Tourism, he's working on coordinating GPS coordinates for all these sites, so people who have GPS can just type in the coordinate and take them straight to it.
That would be great.
Of course, not everybody has GPS, so we still have to have signs and whatnot, but that's a step in the meantime, I guess, we could use.
Magistrate Harris.
Yeah, Judge, a couple more things. Another thing is I've been talking with Mr. Klein from Alpha Natural Resources, and there is a bridge that goes from Burnwell, the Burnwell area, over into Mingo County, West Virginia, close to the golf course up there. And that's a private bridge that's owned by, used to be Massey, it's now Alpha. And they are interested in willing to talk to us about donating that bridge to the county and opening that as a public road. They would. There's a section. The state road ends about, I believe it's about a quarter of a mile before you get to the bridge, and you're on Alpha's I believe it's Alpha's property all the way to the bridge, and then the bridge is over into West Virginia. And my thoughts on it were that we could maybe take in that section of road where the state road maintenance ends up to the bridge, make that a county road, and then accept the bridge into the county system so that would all be connected and people would be able to travel that road, and it would cut a great deal of time off of people driving from South Williamson if they're going to Mate One or even to Phelps or that way. If they wanted to travel that direction, it would cut a lot of time off their travel to be able to go across that bridge. I told him I would bring that up and start the discussion about what needed to be done.
Mr. County Attorney, you and the Road Commissioner, Mr. Hatcher, Magistrate Harris, and myself, we need Jeannie to set a meeting up, start discussion. Talking about Hatfield and McCoy, that the marathon, that's where they went down River Road, crossed over the swinging bridge, down and back across this bridge, and then hit the main road and back to Food City. Am I correct?
That is the track of the marathon, yes.
That is the area that the Hatfield and McCoy, which had people from 47, how many states was it? They had 33, and then they added to that, didn't they, Brandon, after that?
Yeah.
They had 33 states originally that was in that marathon. Yeah. And we participated in that. Our county employees did a great job. Our inmates, Mr. Anderson and his crew, they helped clear the roadway out for this Hatfield-McCoy Marathon, so we was intricately involved in that. So
we may need some assistance from the state in maybe inspecting the bridge to make sure that it meets, our standards. I'm sure that it does. It was built to haul heavy coal trucks. I'm sure that it's sturdy and a well-constructed bridge. But it would be nice to have an inspection in the file before we agreed to.
Jeannie, would you talk to the county engineer and get his recommendation on what we need to do to get the bridge inspected?
Judge, I have one more issue, and this is one I need the county attorney's assistance and guidance on. We had a slide at Coburn Hollow last week, and it was a pretty big slide. It came across the road, a lot of trees in it, and it crossed the road completely, and we sent the road crew up there to clean it up. We got the trees out of the road and got the slide cleaned up. But in doing that, we had to get onto somebody's property, a private property owner's property. And we tracked our trucks, our dump trucks, into this lady's and man's, Mr. and Mrs. Thornsberry, into their driveway and turned around several times. And they have approached me about what the county is going to do to put their driveway back to where it was before we went up there and did that. And I, being mindful of the law, do not want to do anything that's illegal, but at the same time, we did go on these
Mr. County Attorney, you need to speak for that. I remember when Kenneth Robinson, his district, had a wreck, and the people that had the drainage up on the hill didn't have the money to take care of the problem, and you found a statute where if it was for drainage purposes and for danger to vehicular traffic, that you could go on private property, and of course we'd want to put it back the way it was. Mr. County Attorney.
Judge, I've talked to Frank Hatcher on this issue. My understanding of what occurred is there was a slip or slide, and the county vehicles did go on to private property to fix the slide because it was endangering and in fact was covering a county road, which is legal under the statute. There is the side issue that apparently inadvertently the county trucks did go into a private driveway and cause some, in my opinion, it probably minor damage, but at least did do some damage. So the question is can we fix that? And my recommendation would be that we do go ahead and get, if the landowners will give us a release, that we do haul a load of gravel up there and take care of the problem. If we turned it into our insurance company, we've got a $5,000 deductible, so it'd save us money just going ahead and fixing the problem if it can, and if they'll give us a release.
I feel like that's the
issue.
Well, I appreciate it. I feel like that's the responsible thing to do, and I've apologized to Mr. and Mrs. Thornsberry for trespassing on their property. It was a situation where we had to get the slide cleaned up, and that's what the guys did to get it cleaned up. And so I will. Do we need a motion, or is that,
just do a motion?
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion then that we follow the county attorney's advice and fix the damage.
Got a motion, Master Harris. You have a second. Have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, did you get that down? Yes. Okay. Have a roll call, please.
Master Anderson?
Yes.
Master Johnson? Master Murphy? Yes. Master Robinson? Master Dotson?
Yes.
Master Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Master Harris. Ms. Dameron, would you come around, please? I'm sorry. Ms. Dameron, the county attorney has got it. As I said, Judge Hayes is going to Cleveland Clinic for tests, so he normally handles this. We do not need a closed session in talking to Judge Hayes and to Mrs. Dameron. Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, Judge. Brenda is bashful, I believe, and didn't want to get up on the microphone, so I'll read it. These are the recommendations of the Personnel Department. The recommendation of the Personnel Department is to hire Christopher Stump, temporary with Class A CDLs for the position of light equipment operator at road lot number 5 at Phelps at a 4H rate of pay, $14.60 per hour. Approval to hire Timothy Thacker as a full-time truck driver for load lot number 3 at a 3H rate of pay, $13.24 per hour plus longevity, effective July 23rd, 2012. He's replacing Floyd Tackett, who resigned. Approval to hire James J. Taylor as a full-time mini packer driver for solid waste area number 1 at a 3H rate of pay, $12.73 per hour, effective August 6, 2012. He's replacing Clyde Sexton, who bid on another position. Approval to hire George C. Justice IV as a full-time mini packer driver for solid waste area number 1 at a 3H rate of pay, $12.73 per hour, effective July 30th, 2012. He's replacing Gregory Ray, who bid on another position. Approval to transfer Jason Burke from a loader at solid waste area number 3 to the animal shelter as a temporary animal control helper at a 3H rate of pay, $13.75 per hour plus longevity, effective July 17th, 2012. Acknowledge the termination of Emily Williamson as of July 12th, 2012. Acknowledge the resignation and retirement of Marley Coleman as of July 31st, 2012. He had worked for Pike County Fiscal Court since April of 1990. He resigned because of health reasons. Acknowledge the resignation and retirement of Mike Lyons as of July 1, 2012. As you know, Mike was the Commissioner of Solid Waste Department and had worked for the Pike County Fiscal Court since August 6, 1986, and again, this was health reasons. Acknowledge the resignation and retirement of Patsy Ruth Mullins as of August 1st, 2012. She was an administrative assistant for the Solid Waste Department and worked for the Pike County Fiscal Court since July 30th, 1984. Those are the recommendations of the Personnel department and would need to be your recommendations.
To Marley Coleman, Mike Lyons, and Patsy Ruth Mullins, great county employees. All of them been here for years. Marley is sick. He's in our prayers. Mike has had some illness. He's in our prayers. Patsy has been sick. She's in our prayers. But that's the reason that we brag on these employees, like the magistrates have said. You got these employees that have been here many, many, many years. You got Mike Lyons, been here since '86. You got Patsy Mullins, who's been here since '84. Marley been here since 1990. So that's the reason we're able to get a lot done and provide the services to the people of Pike County. We have 280 employees, but due to the economic situation that we face, we're down to 250 employees. But our employees, we don't have a lot of changeover in our employees because of the Pike County is one of the better places to work in the county. And it has good benefits, good retirement, a good 80-20 health care program, and we have longevity pay. We're no longer training for anybody else. We are a county government. But it is my recommendation and my motion that the recommendation to the personnel department be carried out. To have a second, Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson? Yes. Magistrate Murphy? Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dodson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. We're down now to the adoption of a resolution in support of multi-county co-severance tax for Pikeville, Pike County Airport. Let me say that and of course, Mr. Smith, if you'd come around, you have graciously, and Mr. Smith has done a great job on this study. And I've commended him. He's contracted by the city of Pikeville and the airport board. He's under contract. He gets paid. But I thought he had done a great job. That's not been the question. The question that primarily that this court has, and before he comes, I want to place in the record letters to the city manager and a letter to Bill Hickman, chairman of the airport board, inviting them to be present today and to provide us in writing that whether or not the $6 million, if we've had a lot of hearsay, a lot of people saying this money can't be used, it's the law. So we said, just show us the facts, give us a copy of the law. But they have, the city manager was so gracious to get back to us with email and said, I have nothing. Didn't hear anything, and I have to file as a part of this record the email from the city manager. Madam Clerk, would you make it part of the record? I have a copy of the letter to Mr. Blackburn and a letter to William Hickman. Second, we didn't hear anything back from Mr. Hickman, and so we had wrote another letter to him saying, assuming you not give us anything, you don't have anything. So I want that letter, and we still have heard nothing on the date. That letter was the 23rd of July, so we got nothing back. So I want those to be part of the record, made part. Now we have also to file with the record everything that, all correspondence, either for or against, and our magistrates have been provided this. Back in the 1st of July, Mr. Hickman gave us several pages of documents. We have in this a copy of the order establishing the Pike County Airport, May the 4th, 1976. It was based on an official opinion of the Kentucky Attorney General after the city of Pikeville pulled out of what we do next. And that opinion said that the Pike County Fiscal Court in 1976 had to start over, and they would put a board in place. It gives the people who was appointed to the board. Also attached to that is a order of a joint resolution that was passed by the city of Pikeville, and that date is October 7th, 1985. And that's when the Pike County government and the Pike County Fiscal Court and the Pike County and the Pikeville City government passed a joint resolution taking Pikeville back in to the airport. And of course, there's no use to rehash what's happened since then. It's been rehashed, and rehashed. So I'm not going to do that. But as you said the last time, these magistrates should have all the facts. We have not been able to get them several different things, and we have from the city manager that he has nothing. I've filed that with the clerk. So you have been graciously in your time, and thank you, and you had a lot of questions the last time. But your presentation, and you and Jeannie has had a conversation in the last week about how this meeting was flowed. I talked to you on my cell phone and you on yours recently, talking about this meeting coming up and how we wanted the meeting to flow. So based on that conversation, then you're to make a presentation, and then we'll go from there. And I know that Magistrate Harris was not present at the last meeting, and he filed a letter with us, and I read the letter, and it's part of the record of the Fiscal Court. And so after you finish, since he wasn't present to get his questions in, I think you answered a lot of questions the last time, and you'll have an opportunity to talk with the Magistrate Harris. So, Mr. Smith, we appreciate you being here. And I don't know if anybody's got anything in writing instead of all this hearsay of, oh, this is a guideline, you can't do that, or this is the law, you can't do that. Pike County government operates, and I'm sure the city government does, I'm sure they operate on the facts. And that's what's in writing. That's what's in black and white. You know, I'm sure the county attorney's office can tell you that we look at everything. We don't, I knew a lawyer in town that wore his chair out, turned it around so much because when somebody would come in to hire him, they would tell him what they thought the law was, but he always wheeled around and had his law books behind him, and he wore his chair out about 2 a year because he always looked at the statute. Well, we do that on every document. We don't take it that somebody said or somebody made a statement, take it to be a fact. A fact is a fact, and it's in print, it's in writing. So, Mr. Smith, we appreciate you being back again today, and you have the podium now.
Great. Thank you very much, Judge Rutherford and members of the court. It's a pleasure to be back. I'm going to go through this presentation rather quickly because I know you all are a little bit pressed for time, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions and discussion afterwards. I do have copies of the presentation. If I could ask you to pass those around, please, for the record. Okay. This presentation we have given in a number of forums and to a number of folks to bring them up to speed on the project. And very simply, when we started this process, we established two goals that we think will indicate success, assuming that we're able to achieve them. First of all, our broad goal is to link Eastern Kentucky, the Central Appalachian region, to the global air service network via the Pike County Airport. And to do that, what we want to do is recruit a regional airline that is aligned with a major carrier. That would be somebody like American Eagle, Delta Connection, U.S. Airways Express. And then secondly, we want to establish service to a major connecting hub. So the idea is that you hop on the plane here in Pikeville, you make a short flight to a major connecting hub, and then you're able to connect and go to virtually any place in the United States that you want to go. The progress to date on this project, this has long been a community goal to establish commercial air service here in Pikeville and Pike County. The project started in 2006 with an initial market feasibility study for Eastern Kentucky air service. That study indicated that the Pikeville, Pike County Airport is the best suited, without question, in this region to support this service. There were some initial efforts made to recruit airline service, and then in 2010, I joined the project, and we updated the market profile, and we initiated some new recruiting efforts targeted towards airlines. In 2010, we began working and discussing this project with 6 airlines. Last year, we received, as you'll recall, $750,000 grant from the U.S. DOT Small Community Air Service Development Grant Program. That's a competitive grant. Pikeville, Pike County Airport competed with 68 other airports around the country, all of which were bigger, most all of which already had service. And I'm happy to say that our grant application last year received more letters of support from area and regional professionals and business people than any of the other grant applications from the United States. So that was a really good deal. And as a result of all this, right now we have 2 carriers that have expressed interest in serving this market. So that's a really good place to be, given the economy and the fuel prices and everything else. Market that we're talking about is a 13-county market, 9 counties in Kentucky, 3 in Virginia, 1 in West Virginia, population of about 345,000 people. Each of these 13 counties are closer in driving time and distance to Pikeville and Pike County than any of the 4 surrounding commercial airports. Our study indicates that 121,000 people from these 13 counties travel by commercial air every year to 335 different airports around the United States. That's based on U.S. DOT statistics. And as everybody in this room knows, this is one of the most prolific energy-producing areas in the country. And on a combined basis, the banks have $5 billion in bank deposits in the area. So it's a good market. The airport, which is known by its 3-letter identifier, PBX, is one of the most modern in Kentucky. It's really an asset for this community. There's no question about it. 5,350-foot long runway, and probably the most important thing is it has a full functional instrument landing system, or ILS, and that's a real important consideration when it comes to attracting airline service. It's a convenient location north of the city, near the junction of 2 major highways, and of course will offer free parking to the travelers when the service starts. Everybody wants to know, where will the flights go? Pikeville and Pike County are surrounded by 7 connecting hubs. As I said, we started by contacting 6 carriers. We have 2 that are interested. The target aircraft for this market would be between 19 and 37 passenger turboprop aircraft. Now, a lot of people have asked, how will this service that we're working on differ from what was offered in Somerset? And as many people know, the service in Somerset had a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And really the answer to that is it will differ in every way. First of all, the carriers that we're talking with operate as FAA Part 121 carriers. They're affiliated with major airlines. Both will offer through ticketing, through baggage handling, through airfares. Both will offer in-terminal connections to hundreds of destinations around the country. They'll offer reliable same-day scheduling. They'll offer frequent flyer programs that are well known around the country. And they're both part of vast global air travel network systems. Just bottom line, the difference between what was in Somerset and was not successful versus what we're working towards is apples and oranges, night and day, black and white. But I want to caution everybody, we're in the middle of a multi-step process, and this is not a done deal. We have several things we have to do to make this happen. The resolution that we'll discuss in a minute is one of these things. Why is this project important to Pikeville and Pike County? To me, it's all about jobs. It's about protecting the existing jobs that are here. And it's really, more importantly, it's all about creating new jobs in the future. It's about making this area connected more than it is today to the global commerce system. And it's all about unlocking the region's potential, not only for the coal industry and the energy industry, but for tourism. All of the discussion about the Hatfield-McCoy feud, obviously there are lots of people that want to come to this area and learn more about that. You've got the ATV industry, which is becoming more important, elk observing and things like that. All of this can be supported with commercial air service in the area. Now, what goes into recruiting an airline? Obviously, the market itself, the size, the demographics, the airport facility, which again, you're lucky you've got a very, very good airport here, a local support for the service, the revenue guarantee, which we'll talk about, confidentiality, which is a very important thing. We've talked about that in the past, and it's like bringing in a new business or industry. You don't want to get ahead of the client until they're ready to go public. And in the airline business, it's also risk aversion. any airline that starts service in any market, whether it's here or anywhere else, wants to be assured that they're not going to just lose money hand over fist when they first come in. They want to make sure they have a willing partner to work with them to help get to a sustainable spot. And to do that, we've put together a package that we think will work, and it will really cover three main things. It will include matching the Small Community Air Service Development Grant that we've already received, the travel bank, which we will implement that once we receive a commitment from a carrier to provide service, and then also the coal severance tax funds that we would like to use towards this. Our goal is to raise a total of about $2.5 million that we can put towards this, and I'll show you how that breaks down in just a minute. We're using as a model of what was done successfully in Manhattan, Kansas. Now, Manhattan is a bigger city than Pikeville. It's a larger market. It has an Army post and a state university, so it's a different market, but we think conceptually we can do the same thing here on a smaller scale. The city there had service, long-time service with turboprop aircraft, and their goal was to upgrade it to regional jet service. And so in order to do that, they had to put a package together, which in their case involved the local city, the state of Kansas, the Chamber of Commerce, and some of the small outlying cities. They started discussions with American Eagle about establishing 2 daily regional jet flights from Manhattan down to Dallas-Fort Worth, which is American's largest hub. And they put together a pool of about $2 million. That money was raised, again, through the state of Kansas, the city, some outlying cities, and so forth. And the way it works, and again, it's been very successful. They started with a pool of $2 million. They have a contract period of 2 years, which has now expired. Each month, and before it all started, American informed the community of what their monthly revenue target would be. And the idea was, if each month, when they would announce how much money they had made, if they fell short, then the pool would be tapped to make up the shortfall. If they exceeded the revenue target, then there would be no drawdown. The money would stay there, the community would get a net credit which would carry forward. Now, everybody knew in the first 2 or 3 months they probably would lose money because they were having to establish the service and get people comfortable with it and to use it. And that's exactly what happened. The first 3 months, they were a little bit short. They had a total drawdown of $203,000, or about 10% of the pool. After that, it just took off. And you can see the bar chart and the slide. Those are enplanements at the airport. And you can see they're just up, up, and up. And it's never looked back. They started with 2 daily flights to Dallas. They amended the contract to add a 3rd daily flight to Dallas. And then they came in and added 2 new flights to another hub in Chicago. So they went from having no jet service to 5 daily flights within 2 years. And with the exception of the first 3 months, they never lost money. They've made money, and it's been a big success. So conceptually, that's what we would like to try here. We think it can work. Now, going back to the package that we proposed to put together here, the grant that we applied for last year and that we received from the USDOT, we received $750,000. Now, that money has not actually been transferred here. It's still sitting in Washington. We use it only if and when we get service and we start this whole process. Our proposal is to use $650,000 of that towards this revenue guarantee and hold $100,000 back for marketing and promotion, and that was in the grant application. They understand that. We also indicated in our grant application last year that we would go for a matching grant of about $1 million from the state of Kentucky through the coal severance tax program, and that we would also approach other parties, interested parties in Virginia and West Virginia, who will benefit from this service to see if they might also be able to participate in this process. And then lastly, the travel bank, we hope to raise about $500,000 from local businesses and professional folks, people that travel, to initially support this for a total of $2.5 million. In Kentucky, as everybody knows, we received the USDOT grant last year. We began building support for the multi-county coal severance tax application by visiting with lots and lots of state legislators from this part of the state. We have the complete support of the Pike County delegation, Speaker Stumbo. We've met with Secretary Hayes, with the Economic Development Cabinet, the Governor's Chief of Staff, and so on. And we developed a lot of support for this. Then when the U-Pike proposal came up, that had an impact on our efforts. Everything kind of got sidetracked a little bit, but we've continued our efforts to secure this grant. In Virginia and West Virginia, our initial intent was to try and tap into their coal severance tax program, but in both cases, state law prohibits that. However, we have interest on the part of local government officials in both states to work together to try to come up with something that will help out. We've put that on hold right now until we resolve the Kentucky issue, because obviously if we're not successful in resolving the funding issue here in Kentucky, it's a moot point as far as the other two states go. So really, we believe that our proposal of the $1 million multi-county coal severance tax grant is an appropriate use of the funds. It's what the fund was established for, specifically for economic development purposes that have a regional impact, and we think that this is clearly one of those projects that will work. But in order for us to receive this grant, we have to have the support of at least 2 county fiscal courts in terms of a resolution. There's no monetary obligation. We're not asking for any kind of a contract or anything like that. A simple resolution of support is all that we need. We initially went to Floyd County Fiscal Court. It was primarily a scheduling issue. They only meet once a month, and we had a chance to go before their court, and they passed a resolution of support for this. And of course, now we're here, and we, by law, of the 2 county fiscal court resolutions that we have to have, one of them has to be from the home county, which of course would be Pike County. So what comes next? First of all, we need to secure the $1 million Kentucky coal severance tax grant, and then we have to go back to Virginia and West Virginia to see what we can do over there to finish this and confirm a total of $2 million in support. And then we will draft a formal letter of commitment to the 2 carriers that are interested in providing service here, and that basically will outline everything that we're able to and willing to do to enable them to provide service. Our goal is to get one of them here, one of them up and running, and one to be very, very successful. We'll negotiate that commitment. It'll all be done by contract. It'll be very transparent. Everybody will know up front what the requirements are, both of the local parties as well as the airline. And then once we have that commitment, we'll go out and sell the travel bank to the local businesses. But very simply, what we need now is we really need this resolution of support passed, because we have to have it in order to finish our application in Frankfort for the multi-county coal severance tax grant. And so we would like to respectfully request that the court take up this resolution, adopt it so that we can finish that and hopefully get this grant secured very, very quickly. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Harris.
Judge, I appreciate the court holding off on voting on this matter until I get back. I was on vacation at the last court meeting, and I apologize I wasn't able to be here to be involved in the discussions. I appreciate, Mr. Schmidt, you being here, and I've met with you on a previous occasion at the request of Brad Hall, who I believe is here somewhere in the audience there, I see. And just to listen to what you had to say and to listen to the proposal, and I did that. I haven't gone into this with a closed mind. I tried to be open-minded about it and listen to the facts. And I think some of the things that you've said here today, we talked about earlier, and I want to be respectful of your opinion and everybody's opinion that's here today. And while we may not agree on this matter, I'm going to be respectful in my remarks, like you have been, like everybody has been, and sometimes we just have to disagree. And many of us here would like to see commercial air service in Pike County. That's not the issue. The issue is at what cost do we want to see commercial air service in Pike County? And at a time when we are looking at loss of jobs, declining tax revenue, a limited amount of funding, I don't think that Pike County right now, I don't think we can afford this kind of project. And until now, at least in the public's eye, this has really been a one-sided conversation in favor of the project, and that's due in large part to the publicity campaign by the Chamber of Commerce and the newspaper and some other people, you included, who have done a good job at getting the word out for your side of the story. But like Paul Harvey used to say, there is the rest of the story, and that's what I kind of want to talk about here. This grant is a Small Community Air Service Development Grant. I've done a little research on the grant, And I can't find anywhere on their website where they say it's a matching grant. Is this what we got? Is this a matching grant? We have to match this $750,000? Was that a term of the grant? Was it a matching grant?
When we applied for the Small Community Air Service Development Grant last year, one of the things that we indicated in our grant application was the fact that we would go after a matching grant from another source to help the whole program along.
But that wasn't a term of us getting, I mean, that wasn't a condition of the city of Pikeville getting the grant.
It was a pretty important consideration because it's very clear when you read the instructions for the Small Community Air Service Development Grant application, it makes very clear that the applications that have local or state funds to be used in support of the federal grant will probably receive more consideration or more favorable consideration. Now, yes, we could have applied for this without any local grant or state grant whatsoever. Most likely it would have been rejected because when you take a look at the grant applications that were successful, in most every case they did have some form of local or state funding to support the overall project.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the things that I want to talk a little bit about is the community, is the local participation. And this grant, this Small Community Air Service grant, has a dismal track record. I mean, it's got a tremendous history of failure all across the country. And it's so bad that in 2008, the Office of Inspector General did a review. They did an audit of this program. And they went through and they looked at all the grants that had been given since 2002, and they published a report. And I've got that report right here. It's the Small Community Air Service Development Program, Department of Transportation, Office of the Secretary, report issued May 13th, 2008. And that report, you know, nobody said anything about that report to date. You know, nobody wants to talk about it, but I want to talk about it just a little bit. And one particular thing I want to talk about is what you just said about the community support. It says clearly in the report, in their findings, it says that although we found that community financial participation did influence the grant outcome, the likelihood of success, the likelihood of success did not increase as the level of community financial participation increased beyond 10%. Okay, that is a finding, that is a fact that is in the Office of Inspector General's report about this grant. So it's saying that anything that the community contributes to this grant over and above $75,000 is just a waste of money. That's the way I read that, okay? This report, and it's a very detailed report, and I'm surprised that nobody has mentioned it. It goes through and it talks about all the different communities from 2002 through 2008 that have received this grant, like Somerset, Paducah, and these are just the ones in Kentucky, Somerset, Paducah, Owensboro, Somerset again with another $950,000, Big Sandy, Bowling Green, and Lexington. And you know, this report, it says that it has a dismal track record. In fact, the success rate for this program is 30%. The overall success rate for the entire program is 30%. Now, that's not the kind of investment I would make with my money. If you only had a 30% chance to get a return or to get a success, is that the kind of investment that I would make with my money? And that's the way I look at the public's money. Is this something that I would do with my money? And it's not. 30% success rate is not a good track record.
Right.
It goes down in and it talks a little bit more about what the different, I mean, it breaks that down, that number down a little further into the different revenue guarantee for new service, cost subsidy, and startup cost. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, this is the intent
Well,
here.
the track record for that is 0%. They have a 0% success rate.
If I could interrupt you for one quick second.
Yes, please.
And I don't have that report in front of me, but I have read it. And I think what you're talking about here is when you take a look at this whole program, this whole program has been around for many, many years. In fact, the original author of the legislation was Senator Wendell Ford as a part of the transportation bill years ago. The intent of the Small Community Air Service Development Program is to stimulate the development of commercial airline service in small communities. And it's true. Many of the grant proposals that have been awarded over the years were in very small communities like Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, where you have virtually no population base, you're hundreds of miles from any place, and some of the grants were ridiculous. I mean, the programs that they supported were ridiculous. I'd be the first to agree with that. Somerset, and I want to clear this up because Somerset keeps coming up in discussion over and over and over. And as I tried to indicate in the slide, versus what we're talking about, the proposed service here and what they had in Somerset is completely different. It is not right to characterize what was the service that was provided in Somerset to say that's what's going to happen here, because it is a night and day, apples and oranges difference. Somerset's service was destined to fail from the very beginning. The reason for that, the company that came into Somerset was a company called Lockyer. And there's no question they swooped in to take full advantage of that grant. No question about it. Lockyer operates, or did operate, as an air taxi operation. It did not operate as a Part 121 scheduled airline that we're all familiar with. The plane that they used had 19 seats, but they were restricted by law from only selling 12 seats per flight. So that meant you had empty seats on every flight they couldn't even sell tickets for. It was destined for failure from the very beginning. If you can't fill up the plane and have a revenue passenger in every seat or almost every seat every time the plane takes off, you're going to lose money. That's exactly what they did. Secondly, the type of service that Lockyer provided in Somerset was absolutely not conducive for supporting local air service. What they did when they started with a flight to Nashville. It departed Somerset, and it changed every month schedule-wise, but it would depart Somerset, say, on a Monday morning, and it would fly to Nashville. Because Lockyer did not have an agreement with the Nashville airport, they couldn't use the air terminal for their flights. So when the plane landed in Nashville, it taxied up to a fixed base operator on the other side of the field. The passengers who had flown from Somerset to Nashville had to get off the plane, get their luggage, hop in a van, drive around the field over to the main terminal. So let's say you were going to Dallas. That was your final destination. You had to buy 2 tickets. You bought a Lockyer ticket from Somerset to Nashville, and then you got to the Nashville airport, you go to the American Airlines ticket counter, you'd buy another ticket, recheck your bags, go through security again, fly to Dallas. The return flight from Nashville to Somerset operated on a completely different day, maybe a Thursday, maybe a Friday. There was no same-day service, no same-day round-trip service. They didn't have an interline connection with any airline. You couldn't check your bags all the way through. It was a terrible, terrible setup. And I want to emphasize, what we're talking about here is completely different from what was in Somerset. And if I don't leave you with any other impression today, please understand that what we're talking about here, the 2 carriers that are interested in providing service here, are completely different from Lockyer. It's not fair to characterize them all in the same boat.
Okay, Ed, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But there are other communities in Kentucky that have received the grant. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Nat, I think you're also the consultant for Elizabethtown, mm-hmm. and they're also searching in the same process that
right. But Elizabethtown has not received a grant.
Okay. But basically, I mean, my opinion of this is what we're looking at. This is basically corporate welfare, and we're making sure that airlines are going to make a profit. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that only 2 airlines are interested. 2 airline carriers are interested. If we're guaranteeing these folks that they're going to make money, we're guaranteeing their revenue stream. Why wouldn't all the airlines be interested? I know if I was an airline and somebody was going to guarantee that I would make money, then I would be interested in coming there and making money.
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to sell the market, irregardless of whether there's a revenue guarantee or not. You have to sell the market, and the airline has to look at the market and the demographics, and then they have to make an initial decision as to whether or not it makes any sense at all to serve this market. Now, because Pikeville is a relatively small market, it's an unproven market, it's not as easy a sell as you might think. You know, the airlines are bombarded by communities every year that say, bring service to my town or expand a new route to my town that already has service. So you have to sell the market first, and then you have to back it up with what incentives that you can bring.
Right.
maybe you can characterize it as corporate welfare. I look at this as a job creator. And you know what? The grant program has been in place for many years. Now, you can question whether some of the grants were effective or appropriate or whatever. The fact of the matter is the money's there. Communities apply for this every year. 68, 69 communities last year applied for this grant. That shows that there's a lot of interest in it. If the money's available, doesn't it make sense to go out and try to get your fair share of it?
No, and I don't subscribe to that theory that there's this money out there, we need to waste it before somebody else does. And that's a different philosophy that I have maybe than a lot of other politicians have. I don't believe that just because there's money there, just because there's a grant program there, that we need to go waste that money before somebody else gets the opportunity to waste. I think we as elected officials have a duty to the public to protect their tax dollars and only spend their tax dollars on projects that have a good likelihood of success. And what I'm reading, the history that I'm reading behind this has a dismal track record. I mean, we can deny some things, but there's some things that we can't. And one is that the coal industry in our area is cutting back. They're cutting jobs. Our tax revenue is declining. That is a fact. It is happening. And airlines are cutting back. There are less flights going, and that is because less people are flying. And whether that's a direction of the economy, a result of the economy, or what, I don't know. But our population in this area, in eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, southwest Virginia, our population is declining. And for us to deny those things is not going to change them. I mean, those are facts.
Nobody's denying that. And in fact, I think you could make an argument that what we're trying to do here is to position this region, eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, southwestern Virginia, in a more competitive position than it is right now. You're right. Arch Coal just announced 750 layoffs. That's devastating for this whole area. This area and all areas around the country are doing what they can to position their communities through this recession to help create jobs. There's no question in my mind that if we're successful in securing this service, this is going to make this area much more accessible, much more competitive in creating new jobs down the road. If you don't have it and you don't do anything else, that decline that you mentioned most likely will continue. And that's probably unacceptable to everybody in this room.
And I can make that same argument that it would be good for us to have a subway system from Pikeville to Lexington. I mean, that would help promote intercommerce between the areas, but at what cost? That's the issue, at what cost? And what I feel that we're doing here with this proposal is that we're selling our area to these people by throwing a bunch of tax dollars at it and saying, here, look at all this money you can have if you come here and operate. If our area was a candidate, a good candidate for air service, commercial air service, it wouldn't be much of a sale to an airline to come in there and start up service. They would be self-supportive, something that is going to continue on after the subsidies or after the subsidy is gone. And I just have not been convinced by anything that I've heard that this is one of those projects that's going to continue after the subsidy is gone. Now, we can talk about our multi-county coal severance money. That's another source. We're very limited on the sources of revenue that we have access to at the county. Only what the legislature allows us to tax. There are only certain taxes that we can implement, and the multi-county severance program is one of those pots of money that we can go to for projects. And I've heard several times that you can't use that for water and sewer, and I don't believe that to be true. I think if you had a multi-county project that reached between Pike and Floyd, or Pike and Martin, or Pike and Letcher, some of those counties, I think that definitely that those monies could be used for that. So for us to say, well, there's this extra money sitting over there, we just need to grab it before somebody else does, I don't fall in line with that. We're seeing the effects of the coal industry layoffs now with our first quarter severance tax income, which was down significantly. And we can't afford to waste even a single dollar at a time like we're in right now. We have responsibilities as elected officials to safeguard the public's money and only use it for things that we feel are have a good chance of success. And you know, we can talk all day about the national debt and whether or not this is a good use of money for our kids and grandkids, that they're going to have to pay this money back someday, the federal money that we're talking about. But just dealing with the local money, you know, the mentality that money is somehow going to go bad or somehow going to get snatched up by somebody else. I mean, I just don't subscribe to that. Now, somebody ran a full-page ad this weekend in the Pikeville newspaper, and it had the facts up there. It was the facts, and it had my phone number at the bottom. Call your magistrate. Call Chris Harrison. Call Hillman Dotson, and all the magistrates had all our phone numbers on there. Do you know how many phone calls I got?
No, I don't.
In support? 0.
Okay.
I got 0 phone calls. And everybody that I talk to in my district, I represent 10,000 people plus. The people that I talk to just don't see this as a benefit to our county. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so as leaders, we can't, at one point, we can't put on blinders and say, well, this group's for it, that group's for it, so I've got to be for it. We've got to look at it on our own. And every magistrate's going to vote their way, however they think is the best for the county. But I just don't see support for it out in the county. And, you know, we can, subsidizing revenue like this way, I'm not a fan of it. And so on that front, I'm going to vote no on the proposal. But every magistrate, I encourage you all to speak up and say how you feel about it. And I certainly have no hard feelings against you or anybody that's in support of it.
Sure.
I respect the fact that you all and appreciate the fact that all of you are here today to show support. I wish more of the public would get involved in issues, because the county government affects everybody in Pike County. And I'd like to see people here, and I'd like to see people involved, and I wish more people would pay attention to what's going on in our community and get involved and try to make a difference. So,
Magistrate Harris, first of all, I agree with how you opened your comments. None of this is personal, and we can agree to disagree respectfully, and I appreciate your comments very, very much. I'll close by, and I'll be happy to take any other questions, but I would simply close by saying, in my view as a consultant and on behalf of the clients that I've worked with on this project, we all feel that this is something that will move this community forward. Pikeville, Pike County, the entire 13-county area. It's something that will help create jobs. It's an extra thing to have in the toolbox. And while we can have philosophical disagreements on this grant or how these grants should be used, the fact of the matter is we've come a long way on this project in a very uncertain economic period. We have 2 carriers that have expressed interest in this market. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy place to be. And if this community really wants the air service, this is the way you have to go to get it. And so, again, I would respectfully request that the court consider this resolution and adopt it so that we can move forward and go to the next step.
Any other magistrate have any question? Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, I was just curious. At the end of this 2 years or whatever the trial period is, what would be your measure of success? How many people, fares will you have to average per day for it to be considered a success?
Well, that's one of the things that we'll learn from the carrier when we present what we're able to do to help them get started. And again, I want to remind you, if we use the model that, or the program in Manhattan, Kansas as the model here, the revenue guarantee pool would be tapped if and only the airline comes up short on a month-to-month basis. And we're assuming that after an initial startup period that it will become sustainable, because we think people are going to find that it beats driving 200 miles round trip to Huntington or 300 miles round trip to Lexington and so forth to fly. That's a number that they will give us. My goal is to deliver an airline to this community and then to work with the community to help the airline get to a sustainable point as quickly as possible. If it's something that won't work, we'll all know that. If it's something that does work, we'll know that, and it'll be successful and it will grow. I'm an optimist and not a blind optimist, but I do believe that when you look at the business community and you know what they've told us, you know, the hospital has expressed a lot of interest in this. They're constantly flying people in and out of here to go to Cleveland or some other place, or recruiting physicians to the area. Having air service here makes their job a whole lot simpler, and it's true for all of the companies that are located here and in these other counties. So I don't have a specific figure that I can answer that, but clearly the measure of success will be filling the planes up so that the airline is more than breaking even. They're making money. That's what we want.
Yeah, Mr. Schmidt, I would like to, before we bring this to a vote, I would personally like to thank you. You know, I met with you as well for, I think, a couple hours, and we went over a lot of issues, and I met with the chairman of the airport board. He came down to my house, and we had a really a good discussion. You know, I don't know if it was on the record or off the record, but we had I won't get into details, but he understood some of the concerns that the judge has raised, and some of the questions that Magistrate Harris has raised, and some of the questions that I had raised with you. You know, I think that there's no question that we're in an era of transparency, accountability, and I think we more than ever have to answer to the public. You know, and I think they ought to have a right to know, you know, how their tax dollars are being spent. And I think that you know, I kind of feel like that Chris and the judge broke in my house because they've asked all the questions and made all the points that I was going to ask. But I do think that it's not good when you know, when people don't communicate. And I know there was some issues about who was invited and who wasn't invited in the initial meetings. But I do think that we have as Magistrate Harris said, a responsibility to ask questions. You know, I don't think there's any dumb questions. I think sometimes there are, and I'm not directing this towards you, I think there's some bad answers, and it's obvious you have put a tremendous amount of work into study and have done a good job, you know, and I think we need to thank the city. You know, I was going to recognize them as well, and they got the grant, and they have done, as mentioned, as was mentioned previously, the Hatfield-McCoy thing, and I've had a lot of people that have expressed their gratitude and their thanks to the commission and the city manager and the mayor. You know, they've done a really good job promoting and getting the information out there, and I think that you know, they do need to be commended for the job that they have done. I don't think, as Magistrate Harris said, that it will succeed. I don't. It's not that, as the judge said in the previous meeting, I think none of us in here are wanting, you know, in these times, I think we want this area to progress. It needs to progress. You know, the news, as you mentioned, the arts layoff, we've just had a tremendous punch in the gut, if you will, to the coal industry. I think you know, the use of tax dollars has to be looked at very closely, and unlike Magistrate Harris, I think we need to make sure that, you know, that we do manage our tax dollars efficiently and effectively. And I don't know that, I don't know, I just don't, you know, I've got mixed emotions. I have had a couple of phone calls from you know, one in particular. I won't, she's here in the room, and I won't rat her out, but I have a great deal of respect for her, and she and I had a good conversation. But I do think that, you know, it's better, as Magistrate Harris said, and, you know, I'm glad the chamber, the commission has come here today. You know, I'm like, you know, I wasn't a member of the court when the Expo Center controversy, if you will, but, you know, I think it is good to have people involved. The chamber has I think that's actually one of your employers, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and I would like to see more input, but I do think that it's imperative that we conduct the people's business in an open forum. You know, I think some of the people I have spoken with about this project, they have a feeling that there's a little cloud of secrecy over it, or, they want to know who the airlines are. Right. And understandably so. And they have obviously a right to ask those types of questions. And I have told them that, I've tried to find out, and we've got other issues as well. But, I think that in these trying times that we're going to have to be, as Magistrate Harris said, it's whether it's county money, single county money, multi-county money, state money, federal money, in the end, it's taxpayers' money. And I want it to succeed as well. Do I think it will? No, I don't think it will. But, hopefully I'm wrong. But I do want to thank you and the members of the City Commission and the Chamber and everyone else that has come here today for all the hard work, and for the things that you have done in relation to the study. Thank you.
Any other magistrates have any questions? I know there's a lot of questions at the last meeting. And
Judge, I don't have any questions, but I'd like to address the people that are present here today.
All right, ahead, Magistrate Dodson.
Thank you. Judge, since this thing started, we've had mixed feelings toward pro and con. I've had probably about as many tell me they're for it as they've been against it. But today, I think we need to come together as a court and not look at a city or county issue, whether they're right or we're right or who's wrong. But I feel like that we need to look at this airport as the potential for growth for Pike County, and whether it'll make it or not, I don't know. Mr. Smith don't know, or the people don't know. It's just like throwing something up in the air. We don't know where it's going to come out. And, I've been on the court for several years now. We have invested millions of dollars in our industrial park. And we've seen some of them pass and some of them fail. And, that's an example of what we're doing today. We're putting multi-county money to a test to see if it'll make money. And, we've seen Sykes down here for an example. We put several $1 million probably in toward tax reductions, and the governor was trying to make it go, and it failed. So, this might fail, but it might be a success. And, when we were dealing with the expo, I knew that was an issue that was really got a lot of attention for the people in the county. And I felt like any time that we can do something good for our county, that we should try it. And we had people on the court that was for it and some was against it. But I think the expo has not made money. I don't think it'll make money, but it's brought a lot of good things to Pike County. You can look out and see that the city has grown. It's got motels and restaurants, and there's a future for more of it to happen. And I just hope that every magistrate can look at this as an issue that we don't know whether it's going to make it or not. And Magistrate Harris, have more respect for him than anybody I know. And he has done a lot of research on this, and I'm sitting between two pilots here. They're airplane pilots, and I hardly ever ride a plane, but I admire their work and what they've done, and maybe a couple years down the road they can look and say it didn't work, did it? Or I can look at them and say it did work. So I don't know, and nobody in here knows whether it's going to work. It's going to be up to the people, I think, to see if they want to use the services and see the county grow. I think we're going to have to put it in their hands. And Judge, I thank you, and I thank Mr. Smith, and that's all I have. Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you, Mr. Smith. And we have on here Jared Arnett from the Chamber, who is the only one that signed in for comments. So come around, Mr. Arnett. We certainly want a good working relationship with the Chamber. One thing the Chamber people need to understand Elected officials serve everybody. We serve the companies, the corporation, and the people. The chamber, of course, you're responsible to companies and corporations. But please be understanding with us. We represent not only those companies and corporations, but we represent the people of Pike County. But we're glad to see you on board. As you know, we've spent a lot of time together since you have been there. We was together yesterday on another issue. We didn't even discuss this one. It didn't even get brought up. But because we got a lot of other things that besides this one thing on our plate. Mr. Arnett, we're glad to have you, and thank you for coming before this body.
Thank you, Judge Rutherford and members of the court. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I want to say I speak on behalf of these people. We discussed and we decided that rather than have each one of them come up and say their story, I would come up and say a few words on their behalf. And like you said, I know you work for the people, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like I go to bed and wake up every morning and feel like I work for the people too. Our members, we employ over 25,000 people in Eastern Kentucky. And I have a passion for Eastern Kentucky, I have a passion for Pike County and the people that are here. And when we started talking about this project and became a partner in it, that's the reason we did it. We were looking forward and into the future, just like you've always done, Judge, having vision and trying to negate the barriers that our members and our businesses have to growth, trying to remove a barrier that you have in your court in recruiting new industry to the area. We talk about incentives, and that's always a hot topic of discussion, but the fact is you can disagree or agree with them, but if you don't have them, you're not in the game because everybody else does. But we had two big reasons that we wanted to support this. And one of those was our existing industry, our existing businesses here. I'm going to tell a couple stories of, you know, if you look out across this crowd right now, we have the finance industry represented, the banking industry, the insurance industry, we have the pharmaceuticals industry, we have education industry. All these businesses see the benefit and know what this means to their bottom line and to them creating new jobs and growing their company. But, for example, we have energy industry represented as well, but a local coal operator is currently working with a partner out of India. So he's trying every day. And the regulatory environment that we have right now for the coal industry, which we're all very familiar with, and we all have friends and family who have faced the layoffs in the recent past. But these local coal operators, as the energy and the energy creation industry starts to transfer to another form of energy, they're going to have to find another market to sell their product to. And we know all that is coming from out of state and overseas. In order for him to build relationships, he's having to drive to Louisville or Lexington or Cincinnati and pick those people up and bring them down to look and create a business partnership, and it's created a challenge. We have a natural gas industry here locally, a company that is partnering with someone out of Spain, and they're starting to drill in Colombia and different areas. And all of these people, they're facing challenges in getting people in and out of our area to have discussions, to sit down at tables and talk. They're having to drive 3 hours. Our small businesses, sometimes we don't think, well, how's this going to benefit them? But I was talking to one last night, and I could hear him talking, and I'm getting feedback, and it's just like what Magistrate Harris said. People are really conservative right now. They're really scared. They're uncertain about what the future holds with the coal industry, and we all know it hits the bottom line from the top to the bottom of our members. But they're scared, and they're conservative. And when he started talking, they were talking about how they're not sure how much inventory they're going to order coming up over the next quarter. They were looking at this month's numbers. Are we down? How do I feel about next month? Should I invest in advertising? What am I going to do? And overall, the mood was down. And so I started talking to him about this commercial air project. And I just saw a light, just like a light came up in his face. And his attitude changed from pessimistic to looking at the local environment and thinking about withdrawing investment from the area to thinking, wow, if I had that, I could get some new vendors in here. I could reach out to some new customers. He even said, I can't imagine being able to fly out, just drive up to the airport and fly out and see this customer I have and fly back the next day and have free parking and check my bags there. And I think if you go around to all 500 of our members and talk to them about that, they're going to say the exact same thing. And I think that's what they're looking for, is leadership that doesn't say things are bad and they're going to get worse, but leadership that says, listen, we're looking forward, we know you need this tool, and we're going to help you get it and do what we can. On the second thing we looked at, well, first I want to talk about the company we sat with yesterday, Judge. They're looking at, they're a local manufacturer in Pike County. They have 13 employees, a machine shop, and they're building products for Kellogg's. They're also building products for the food industry across the country and even across the world. And they're getting ready to go to an association meeting where they're trying to sell their product. They're getting products patented. And they need the access here locally to help remove overhead and help build relationships with new clients. But creating new industry was the second thing, and that's a lot of what your court does, Judge. I know you're seeking always the new opportunity, the new industry. And you know as well as I do the difficulty we have in getting those people here to look at property, and sometimes we have to charter planes and sometimes we have to drive and get them. But I try to think of it from their perspective. I was at a conference last week and there was a panel of economic developers. They're actually consultants that go out and research site selections. And they were talking about all the communities around, and they never even mentioned Eastern Kentucky. And when you think in the big game, if you were in their shoes and you had a Toyota plant or an auto parts manufacturing plant looking at where am I going to build my new plant, and you look at Lexington and you look at Louisville and they've got an airport right there and all that they have, and then you look at Eastern Kentucky and say, well, just to go look at the property, I'm going to have to fly in 3 hours away, rent a car, drive, spend the night there, and then drive back out. Lots of times we don't even get to the discussion stage of what we have to offer. And it's a huge hindrance, and sometimes we don't even get in the game because of it. And it's a huge hindrance to new industry and building our local industry. And we all know what the energy industry means for Eastern Kentucky, and we all support it. Our chamber is a huge supporter of it. But we also know what it means when you rely on an industry that's commodity-based, and as the prices change, decisions are made that affect our people. And they don't necessarily have an option where they can just walk away and go get another job making the same salaries. And I believe we have a responsibility for our people to begin to diversify and look at what else we can bring into this area. And in order to do that, the greatest challenge we have is being able to fly them in right here into the county. If we had that, it would make a tremendous difference. Tourism, we've talked about that a lot. I'm not going to get into it, but the Hatfield-McCoy craze, I got to work one morning at my office right here downtown Pikeville, and there was a lady standing with a fanny pack on at 8 a.m. I thought, I don't think there's ever been anybody with a fanny pack on outside my office. And she said, I'm looking for some information on the Hatfield-McCoy sites locally. And I took her in, and we had some brochures, and then I sent her down to the tourism office. But I asked her, I said, so what brought you here? And she'd seen the show, and I looked out, and she had a van full of kids and her husband. She said, we were going to the beach this week, and my kids threw a fit and wanted to come to Pikeville in Pike County. I don't know when it's been since we've had people coming and taking week-long vacations in Pikeville and Pike County. It's a tremendous opportunity for us right now. If we had this service in place, it would be a tremendous opportunity and give us the advantage on it. Henry Ford, he said when he started building cars, if he'd have went and asked his customers what they wanted, they'd have told him a faster horse. And he had the vision to look forward and build a car, something they didn't even know it would exist and how they would use it, but he had the vision to do that. And I believe we're in the same position to do that today. Maybe people don't understand what we're trying to do. Maybe we've not communicated it effectively. Maybe we've not done a good job of showing how much we're going to use it. But I think Luke's presentation shows that the demand is here for it. People are driving to other cities to fly, and I believe they will choose the option to stay here locally and use this airport. People said we couldn't move this mountain here in Pikeville. People said we couldn't build a medical school that would be successful, but we know we've done it. I'll say this, that even though this is a big process for us, this doesn't guarantee we're going to get the service. If we get this vote today, it doesn't say we get the $1 million. It gives us a commitment, and it gives us the opportunity to be approved for the grant. Then we get that commitment, and then we go to negotiating with the airline contracts, and all parties are involved locally in those negotiations. If it fails at that point, we don't spend that $1 million. It goes back. So it's an opportunity. I'll say that 30% likelihood of success is better than 100% of failure. If we don't have this opportunity today, our businesses are going to be concerned, our large employers are going to be discouraged, and it does not create a positive business climate. Our energy industry needs this. Our entrepreneurs, our small businesses need this. Our county governments need this tool to recruit new industry, and I believe our people need this, even if they don't know it. I believe it will have a true impact on their lives and the people we love and cherish every day. I thank you. I hope you vote yes on this, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Arnett. Mr. County Attorney, could you read the resolution, please?
Yes, Judge. Whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court governs Pike County, Kentucky, which was established in 1821, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court was created for the specific purpose of developing policy, managing the government, and providing government services for the people of Pike County, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court, while mindful of its own mission and objectives, also understands the value of working with similar bodies from throughout eastern Kentucky when such collaboration works to the benefit of the entire region. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court always supports anything which will have a positive impact on the lives of the citizens living in Pike County, as well as those who live throughout the eastern Kentucky region. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court supports diversification and promotion of economic opportunities in Pike County and eastern Kentucky. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the increasingly global nature of the economy which surrounds us. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the need for Pike County and eastern Kentucky to become better connected to the global economy whenever and wherever possible. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court was instrumental in the establishment of the Pike County Airport and has been a longtime supporter of same. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes that accessing scheduled commercial airline travel has become more difficult and in some cases more expensive in recent years, and further recognizes the positive benefits of improving the commercial air travel experience and reducing related expenses whenever and wherever possible. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court applauds efforts currently underway by the City of Pikeville, the Pike County Airport Board, and the Southeast Kentucky Chamber of Commerce to establish competitively priced regional airline service at the Pike County Regional Airport. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the benefits which new regional airline service will bring to Pike County and the entire eastern Kentucky region, including competitively priced airline service closer to home, increased accessibility to key points around the world, the ability to promote Pike County and the entire region for the development of new business, industry, and jobs. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court hereby supports the efforts of the City of Pikeville, Pike County Airport Board, and the Southeast Kentucky Chamber of Commerce to recruit an airline to the Pike County Regional Airport. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court also recognizes the need to establish competitive incentives in order to attract airline service to the Pike County Regional Airport in order to assure the initial profitability and long-term sustainability of such service. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the long-established multi-county coal severance tax fund, the sources of which are derived by taxes levied on each ton of coal mined in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, including tons of coal mined in Pike County. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes that the singular purpose of the multi-county coal severance tax fund is to return these funds to the coal-filled counties of Kentucky to be used to further economic development to each of these counties and can include the support of scheduled commercial airline service. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pike County Fiscal Court hereby supports the request currently pending before the Kentucky Department of Local Government of an appropriation of $1 million from the Multi-County Coal Severance Tax Fund to the City of Pikeville to be used to support the initial profitability and long-term sustainability of an airline which elects to provide service to the Pike County Regional Airport and which meets the strategic needs of both the community and the eastern Kentucky region. This resolution is to be duly made and adopted on August 7th, 2012 by the Pike County Fiscal Court. It would require a motion and majority vote, Judge.
This resolution was presented to Pike County. Some changes were made in it, concurred by all the others involved, and as the resolution was read today and presented. Madam Clerk, have a roll call vote, please.
Motion and a second, Judge.
I need a motion and a second. I'll make the motion to get it on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second. Madam Clerk, have a roll call, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Anybody want to explain their vote, Madam Clerk, can explain their vote? That's up to the individual.
Magistrate Anderson.
No.
Magistrate Johnson.
I'll tell you what, just make Aaron say that. Tough decisions to make, and I see both sides, and I'm this way a while, then I'm this way a while. I've had some more problems in the family too, with dead, and then talking about this here. I think it'll work, but if I vote for it here, I don't want y'all to come back 2 or 3 years from now and take risk for co-service. Go bail out. And I'm gonna vote this one time. I'm gonna vote for it, but don't come back for no more, and I hope it works out.
Madam Clerk.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
No.
Judge Rutherford.
I'm going to vote yes, and I don't think that should be a surprise to anybody but the local paper and some others. It's no great surprise. I have worked. Now, you have a history. We gave you a history that was done by Wilson and Company of the airport. You have a history of it. Nobody has worked harder than I have during my tenure in office here at all to build construct an airport and to bring service. And as I've stated no less than 20 times, that this is a tool in our toolbox for economic development. Do I think it'll work? I've got serious doubts whether or not this will work. I think that Magistrate Harris raised a lot of questions. I think that we didn't get a lot of things answered for this court, the facts in writing that we had requested from the airport board, from the city, and others. But besides that, we're in a county we're the most progressive county and city in Kentucky at this time. We need to stay that way. I'm willing to take the chance and to vote for something that's been dear to me in all these years. How many people flew in and out of the old airport one way in and one way out? Now, there are not many sitting in here, see, that knows what I'm talking about, that knows the history of how hard it was, Dallas Lane, to bring together the 1,000,003 million with a coal company and with the cooperation of the road commissioner's family, the Hatchers and others, to make it possible for us to have an airport. So I think that we need to move on from here. We need, as Magistrate Dodson said, we need the city to sit down for us and don't go out on your own on about 5 or 6 projects that we've had that the county has been involved in. We've been left out. And I think those days are over, that we have got to bind ourselves together and everybody work for a single goal. We're all for the same thing. I'm repeating and repeating, but we're all for the same thing. A quality of life, a better place for our children and grandchildren. And that's the only reason we're here. We're not here for no other reason. This is not an easy job. Not an easy vote these people took here today, one way or the other. But they've been a lot said that shouldn't have been said. They've been a lot wrote, but they've not been a lot of facts put out on this in writing. You know, fact to fact if it's in black and white. But this is passed, and let's move on from here and build a greater Pike County. Next on the agenda is the budget adjustment for the adoption of a resolution on the severance tax projects and our line item projects. Mr. County Attorney.
Judge, this is an adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the following projects as established in House Bill 265 and enacted by the 2012 General Assembly to be funded in the priority order listed via release and availability of single county co-severance funds. Whereas the Kentucky General Assembly in 2012 House Bill 265 appropriated funds from the Local Government Economic Development Fund for specific line item projects. And whereas because the General Assembly did not assign prioritization among the line item projects authorized, it is necessary for the county to assign such priority in order for the funds to be dispersed in an orderly fashion. And whereas the General Assembly has in some counties appropriated single county co-severance funds directly to other entities within those counties, and whereas the county has, where applicable, consulted with those entities as to the most effective prioritization of all line item projects on the county's single co-severance fund, now therefore it be resolved this 7th day of August 2012 by the Pike County Fiscal Court. The Fiscal Court hereby assigns for administrative purposes priority among all House Bill 265 line item projects authorized for Pike County in the following manners. Entity, Pike County Fiscal Court, Emergency Management Equipment, Priority Order 1, project amount $75,000. Pike County Fiscal Court, Kemper Intergenerational Center completion, Priority Order 2, $100,000. Mountain Water District, Jonacan Water Project, Priority Order 3, $808,846. Fiscal Court, Mountain Pub Links, Priority Order 4, $250,000. Pike County Fiscal Court, Shelby Creek Rescue Squad, Priority Order 5, $70,000.
I hate to interrupt, but in lieu of reading that entire list, can we just adopt the proposals that were set forth in the work session?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wants to make copies and let you look over it.
No, we decided in the work
We
session.
just
It was
say, I
documented.
think we did that before.
So,
We didn't read all of them.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we adopt that list in its present form.
Yeah, we're going to give us a copy of it. We have to have a copy of it. Have a motion. Motion and a second, but Mr. Anderson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Only thing we have left on the agenda today is the discussion of budget adjustments. Now, we know that we have a guesstimate on our budget or an estimate or a projection, and it didn't look good the first quarter of this year. And we've lost a lot of coal miners in the county, and it didn't look good at all. We got a little bit of break. We won a suit in federal court last week. You're aware that the EPA was ruled against in federal court. The governor of the Commonwealth said that they was ready to send out the mining permits. 5 of those permits was in Pike County of the 29, if I remember. So we got a little bit of break there. The export market is up. Last week, Charles told me that the selling price of cubic foot of natural gas was $3.20. Now it's up and down. It's back down under $3 this week. But gosh, it was down to $108.89. So that is easing up. So hopefully our estimate that we put together, and I say we, the responsibility came to the treasurer, who has years of experience, and the finance director, who's a CPA, and my years of experience as county judge executive. And we in regard to the severance tax, we know that it's down this first quarter, but in regard to the coal severance tax, it's 26%. even if it holds the way it is, we'll be in good shape in regard to the coal side because it's on production and the selling price of coal. Where we're coming up short this quarter is from the mineral severance tax, which is, of course, the natural gas and limestone, and that's down, and 14% of the budget. So if that continues, we got problems in the future. But I said it's a projection. The county attorney gave you his projections when we was having our work session this morning. But what we proposed to do and what we asked the court to do is set aside, like we did last year, $600,000 in reserve for emergencies in an account, and make that money, but don't take any money away from any magistrate. And keep in mind that this year we was blessed by the state government. The only money that they had, a growth they had in tax revenue, was, of course, in the transportation cabinet. And in the transportation cabinet, we was able to get $931,875 in for the Blacktop State's contribution to us, and we have blessed to do that. And that's because of the price of gasoline, again, under that section of the statute. So what we've recommended to you, that we just set this aside and see what happens, and we have moved forward from here. Do we have? And I'll put that in form of a motion. Do we have a second? Any questions?
And what is the purpose again, Judge, of setting the money aside? I mean,
Purpose is the first quarter didn't look good, and we don't know about we have to project what's going to happen in the future. And it's up to the courts. You don't have to do this, but we did it last year, and so we talked it over and thought we'd make the suggestion to you.
so the proposal is to set aside $100,000 from each district?
Yes.
From each district road fund to?
Yes. Same thing we did last year. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. We'll face it when we come down the road to it. See what happens.
Are you familiar, Rhonda? Are you familiar with what? Can you explain it to us, please?
All that I think the judge is suggesting that we do is take $100,000 per district, which would be $600,000 total out of the road fund, and just put it into a reserve for emergencies account. And then once we receive the second and third quarter and we see where we are with the coal and mineral severance, that money still would be there. And if we are okay with our budget, then it's yours. It's back into the road funds. But if it's not, then that's a place where we can go and try to help with the budget to balance.
And you're going to have more money this year in your road fund anyway if you didn't get the $600,000, the $100,000.
Judge, I can't see no reason why not just leave it alone. If we need it, then we'll visit that at the time, if we need.
Well, it's up to you all. It's just a suggestion. If not, I'll withdraw it and have a motion to adjourn.
I think, Judge, on that there, I think make a motion to put that money in our account and not let us spend it. That way we know.
You put it in reserve, you won't spend it.
We did that last year. It's up to you all or what you want to do.
You all got $275 in this budget, and what they're asking is that you freeze $100,000, only spend $175, and see where we end up somewhere around December, or probably in January. They'd give us another quarter, 2 quarters, to see where we're at.
Oh, I'm way behind it. I better spend.
Well, you can bet we're going to need it. You can bet that the county budget is going to need it. If the second quarter is anything like the first quarter, we're going to need that and a whole lot more.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Have a second.
Motion.
Got a motion from Master Ederson. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.